Daily Broadside, day 619, with last week's daylight savings shenanigans. I've had to go through this last week and change the clock on all the vehicle clocks in my cars and all. What is it about manufacturers, and obviously infotainment screens, modern screens and whatnot don't really have this problem, but what is it about older cars that have the minute and the hour button so tiny that you have to get like a pin or a needle or something and able to push it? I don't accidentally push the station control button or, one of the presets or the volume or anything. Why is the clock any different? Just make it a normal button. I just won't push it when I don't need it. It's so stupid that I have to go find a ballpoint pen to make the time go up 1 hour. It's not necessary. Please explain to me why that was ever a thing. And while I'm on the subject, don't make me have to relearn how to change the clock every time. Just put a button for the hour, put a button for the minute. A couple of my cars have that. One or two of them have things where I got to go back and look up the instruction manual because I got to hold this down and then turn this knob and got to wait for it to blink and then tab through. It's dumb. It doesn't need to be that complicated. Doesn't need to be that complicated. I saw a video a couple weeks ago of, it's like I don't know, he's probably like 4 or 5 years old, right? A little boy having a birthday party, and around the corner, they're filming like around the corner, and around the corner comes a Lightning McQueen, which is basically just a wrapped Camaro, right? New Camaro, which it looked close enough. The kid doesn't know the difference. He doesn't know that Lightning McQueen isn't really a real car. It's just kind of an amalgam of a bunch of different cars, body style wise. And this car pulls up, and of course the whole windshield is covered with the eyeballs, to where the driver can see, but it's all tinted out, and then it's got the big eyeballs. And the whole car is wrapped in the Lightning McQueen logo. Ka-chow! And then he pulls up, and the kid's just all giddy, and that's great. Awesome. You can hire these people, I assume. I don't think anybody went out and wrapped their car for the birthday, because it probably costs like $3,000 to wrap a car these days in something like that. But my question is, what then happens? Okay, I got a friend of mine who her daughter has recently taken to, she is a Disney princess. Like, that's her part-time job. She's a college student, very pretty girl, and she's able to be like Cinderella and Snow White and a couple of the other ones. Like, they have, because there's different skin tones and hair colors and all this stuff, but she's wearing like a wig, and she puts on the dress, and they teach them what to say and all this kind of stuff, and these little girls go goo-goo for this stuff, apparently. And it pays pretty good money. I mean, it obviously costs a few $100s to get a Cinderella to come to your birthday party, but these little girls just fawn all over them, right? And I guess this is just the guy version of that. But at least with the princesses, they can go up and talk to them, and they'll talk about, how are the dwarves? Oh, they're great. And, you can interact with them. What the hell's this car do? After it pulls into the driveway, revs the engine a couple times, I mean, maybe they've got it set up with like some kind of external speaker where they can push a bunch of buttons and it'll say, little phrases and whatnot. But I don't understand does somebody get out of the car at some point, or do they just sit in the car for an hour while they eat birthday cake and walk around the car and then they just leave? I don't know what's going on there, but it's a very strange way of celebrating the old birthday. And I did something that I can count on 2 fingers I've done in my life. There's 2 things I don't really do in life. I don't lock my keys in my car because I'm too paranoid. I'm just constantly fiddling with my keys, making sure I don't lock a button until I have the keys. Well, obviously you can't do that, but I make sure that there's no keys in the car before I lock it, and I rarely lock it with the door handle. It's always a fob, right? That's the one thing. I've never locked my keys in my car. I own multiple vehicles. I've driven thousands of cars. Like, it is a thing, right? Just because that's how I am. The other thing is, I don't really spill drinks, okay, ever. Like, I can think of like 1 or 2 instances in my entire almost half a century where I've done it. Well, I did it the other day, and I was pissed at myself. Not only that, because apparently the table I was at was just slightly canted because it all slid into my buddy's lap. But I was eating a gyro, and I went to grab my glass of water, and it was a plastic cup, slick plastic cup, and, like a solo cup kind of thing. And when I grabbed it, that sumbitch just popped right out. I had tzatziki sauce or something. I don't know what I had on my fingers, but the grease from the lamb. Do you still hear the lambs, Clarice? Clarice, do you still... Anyway, and I dumped that damn water all over everything. And yeah, it looked like a disaster. But I was so disappointed. It was kind of like Jerry Seinfeld, you know, he doesn't throw up. I don't throw up really either. I mean, I can count on two hands the times I've thrown up in my life. I'm just not a big barfer, you know. Some people are barfers, some people aren't. I'm not a barfer. I'm not a spiller, and I'm not a key locker. Those three things I can lay tribute to. Anyway, but I was kind of disappointed in myself. So now I got to start over from scratch. And it's kind of like when you got like, ignore my hair. It's kind of like when you've got like, this workplace has 74 days since the last accident. And then somebody goes and cuts off a finger on an industrial bandsaw and they got to start all over, you know. It's weird. I think that a great documentary that I think we're missing an opportunity on is a documentary on the making and the mystique and everything that surrounds the Wizard of Oz. Because if you research and read about all the weird happenings on that thing, I mean, Buddy Ebsen, right? The dude from Beverly Hillbillies, sorry. You know, he was, I think, the original Tin Man, and then they painted him silver, and, like, the paint they used had, like, lead in it or something, and, like, it absorbs into his skin, and I think to the day he died, he had complications from that. There was a bunch of weird stuff. And I'm not even talking about, like, there's a guy hanging in the scene, blah, 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 at 1 minute or 1 hour and 12 minutes or whatever. I'm not even talking about that, right? Some dude hung himself or whatever. But I'm talking about the fact that that movie was basically, if you look into all the weird accidents and stuff that happened on the set, it was basically a But Did You Die movie, right? And I think it would make a great documentary. Not only that, but, you know, if you take into account inflation and all, it's still one of the top grossing movies of all time. I think it's in the top 10. I could be wrong. But I think that would be a very interesting thing. I think maybe, too, the girl that played the Wicked Witch of the West, I think it was the West, you know, she's green, but we don't know because it was a black and white movie for so many years. I think she had some complications from the stuff they put on her, and like she couldn't eat through the day and all this. I don't know what it was. I remember reading about it a while back, but interesting stuff going on with that movie, and I think it would be very interesting for the world to know about it. And who doesn't love a documentary? Hey, Giddy.